You guys voted. Scream Factory won. Now let's talk about Crawlspace with Klaus Kinski. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Like I said, you guys voted on the label that I do next for a review. You had an option of I think 5 different boutique labels, and Scream Factory won by a mile. So, and I knew it would. I knew Scream Factory would outdo the rest of them. So the next poll that I take, keep your mind out of the gutters on me taking a poll. Never mind. Anyways, Scream Factory will be removed from that poll, that vote. I'll just go with the word vote. And I will replace it with another boutique label. And I think I'll keep kind of doing this. It doesn't limit me to a certain film, but a selection of films from a certain company. And gives me a reason to go through and watch a lot of stuff that I have not seen, and Crawlspace being one of them. Before I continue on, as always, guys, if you would drop down that description box, check out the social media links, the Instagram, the Twitter, all that good stuff, the merch store, the Patreon, which again is $3 a month. You get discounts on the merch, you get extra entries in the contest, name in the credits, all that good stuff, and whatever extra videos I decide to upload here and there. So, anyways, Crawlspace from 1986. Very simple movie. Very not very complex at all. And it's interesting that to note on this too, from watching the commentary, the director wasn't quite fond of this movie. He mentions it's not a very good film, and there was some issues here and there, mainly with Klaus Kinski. I've known about Klaus for a while, and I didn't really look into a lot about him, but I have heard he's very hard to work with, and they definitely go into more detail on that. There's a feature on here called Kill Mr Kinski, which I thought was just like a joking thing, but apparently not. It's a pretty interesting thing. I forget how long it runs. I think it's only like 15 minutes or something. And there's an interview with a makeup effects artist where he talks about kind of his background, and then goes into the rest of the interview being about how difficult it was to work with Klaus. So storyline, pretty simple. Klaus Kinski plays the landlord, what have you, of an apartment building who he only rents to women. And there's actually a scene in this movie with a cameo from the director. This is directed by, what's his name? Yeah, that guy, David Smoller, who you guys might be familiar with in the kind of straight-to-video horror films and things like that. He was responsible for Tourist Trap and Catacombs, Puppet Master, things like that, and writer. He actually wrote a script kind of like this, and it ended up being sold off. And Charles Band, this is an old Empire Pictures release, by the way. Charles Band wanted to revisit that script. He's like, hey, I sold it off. Well, can you write me another one? And so he did, but he kind of based it in like a jungle environment, and wanted like bamboo cages and all this kind of stuff. But that wasn't really in the budget at this time. Empire was shooting a lot of films. They were kind of like a Canon Films operation, and they already had this apartment building from another project over in, Italy, I believe. So they used the resources that they had. Didn't spend a whole lot of money on this movie, but I still enjoyed it. Anyways, back to the synopsis. So he plays the landlord of this building, only renting to women, like I said, and he's the son of a Nazi war criminal, and he used to be a renowned doctor, surgeon, and during his time there, he kills someone or multiple. It doesn't really go into a lot of detail. And he develops a taste for killing rather than saving lives. So during his time being this landlord of this apartment building, he develops certain traps and things like that for his tenants, and kind of like some Saw type shit going on the traps. You have like a chair with a spike that comes up. You have things swaying with sharp objects at the ends. You have certain things like that. But the main premise is him crawling around on his hands and knees through the vents and spying on his tenants and seeing what they're up to, and keeping other people away as well. There's a scene in here with one of the tenants' boyfriends, lovers, whatever. They have this weird game they play where he comes in through the window and everything, and kind of aggressively goes after her, like whatever their fetish is. And Klaus's character isn't too his name is Gunther in this, and he's not too fond of this little game they're playing in a certain scene. I'm not going to tell you everything that happens, because if you guys haven't seen this, I don't want to spoil everything for you. So needless to say, he's kind of taking out these tenants kind of one by one. He's got like a fascination with one of them, if I can remember her name, because it's been a few days since I've watched this, and as I've said before in my videos, my memory is a little bit foggy. I believe her name was Lori. He's got kind of a thing for her, and doesn't really want to hurt her. He kind of wants to invite her up to his room and things like that, and she of course denies, but everyone else pretty much gets taken out. You do have this I don't know if he was like an investigator or what he was, but you have this guy in here who says that he killed his brother, and he's trying to prove that. It doesn't go into a lot of detail on a lot of the story, which is the main downfall for this movie for me. And he goes and investigates the main chick, and all of a sudden knows everything about her, where she's from and her relatives and things like that. And you got to think this is time before, internet and shit. So it was kind of really took a lot of digging to get that kind of information. You have that going on as well. And he keeps this girl in a cage. I don't even know what her name is in this. I don't think it ever said a name. But she was only in like 4 things. She didn't do a lot of acting. Let me see if I can, what she's credited as. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it was Sally Brown. Yeah. But she was only in like 4 movies. She was only, 4 credits. The Patriot from 1986. Of course, this. Do You Remember Love TV movie, and Kids Don't Tell. So I don't know. And when I saw that initially, before listening to the commentary and everything, I was like, well, maybe she had a bad experience on Crawlspace and didn't want to act anymore. But she actually went for that role. She actually wanted that role, which is crazy because she plays this character that just sits in this cage. She doesn't talk. I couldn't tell. He does keep certain limbs of his victims in jars, and there's a tongue in a jar, but I can't tell if she was missing her tongue or not. They don't really show, that kind of angle to be able to tell, but I'm going to go with that's what it is. And she writes a note at the very beginning, says, "Please kill me." And he's like, "No, who would I talk to?" And but she did really good in it, though. It's kind of interesting that, she only did, 2 things in 85 and this and something else in 86, and then that was it. But yeah, that's your basic story. I mean, there's not a lot to it. He's, like I said, the son of a Nazi war criminal. They were originally going to make him a Nazi war criminal, but the timeline just wouldn't fit right. He'd be too old. It doesn't really delve into that, though. It doesn't really tell you why he became mad and started all these killings. He does mention like it's a greater feeling than saving the lives and stuff. So I guess it's his only way to like really feel something in his own life and feel this rush and everything and kind of get off on that, if you will. But overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. I wish it would have been more. I believe this is it's only an hour and 20 minutes. And even the director says during the commentary that because this is more of a drama piece than a horror film, it should have been a lot longer and done more story. So he completely agrees with that. But saying that it's not a very good film, I think it is a good film. It just needed more. But for a director to say that about his own movie, that it's not a very good film, is pretty wild. But yeah, there's a lot of things in here talking about Klaus Kinski and like his clothing in this movie is his own clothing. He didn't like what wardrobe had for him to wear, so he would go to these fancy shops and buy these expensive cardigans and things like that out of his own money and wear his own shit. And he didn't like to be directed either, obviously. I mean, if you guys know anything about Klaus, that's like the main thing, is he did not like to be directed or told what to do. So they weren't even allowed to like say cut. He'll tell you when he's finished or whatever, and he'd ad lib some lines, or he wouldn't say the lines at all. So he would use like reverse psychology on Klaus and say, well, you don't really need to read the whole thing. And he'd be, no, I need to read the whole thing. You know? So I found that pretty interesting. It's not a real gory film. I think the main gore is at the end when Klaus kind of does a little trick. Again, I'm not trying to spoil everything for you guys. I feel like this one kind of falls under the radar, especially as a Scream Factory release. And if you guys collect Scream Factory, this one you might be missing in your collection. It's not talked about a whole lot. I know when I posted on Instagram, if you guys follow me over there, you guys know I've already watched it, and when I did, it got a lot of love on Instagram, but it's one of those kind of forgotten films, I believe, in like the Scream Factory catalog, and it really deserves a little bit more love. I mean, is it perfect? No, it's far from perfect. It's, like I said, it lacks story. That's the main part. I want to know why he really became the way he was. I want to see some background of like his father, things like that. Just it's missing so many pieces to the puzzle. Another interesting fact too is he writes in a journal things that are going on in his mind. You know, like today I killed somebody, for example, and this is how it made me feel. He actually writes in German because he spoke German and everything, so it's all like legitimate German writing in this journal. And they actually had some like photographs and everything that they purchased for a premium price, and we're going to hang up around his attic space that he lives in and keeps this girl in this cage. And they were actually stolen off the set, so that was pretty interesting. But they did remain to obtain a film, which sidetracks Klaus at a crucial moment. But again, I'm not going to give everything away because, like I say, I don't feel a lot of people have seen this movie. I mean, I just now watched it for the first time. I've had it in the collection for many years, and I just now threw it in because, like I said, during taking these votes on what label, I want to try to pick some selections that aren't necessarily well known and talked about a lot. So, again, overall, I had fun with this. It's fast moving. It's entertaining. You do get a little bit of nudity at the beginning, but not much. Again, the traps that he does make are pretty cool, and he uses rats and things like that to make them think that this sound that he keeps making in the vents, he's like banging these metal balls together, taking this like spoon type thing and hitting these metal balls, and making this noise, making them think there's rats, so that people have to come to him for things. And when they come to him too, the other thing too about the way that he's dressed is he's always got like his top few buttons unbuttoned on his shirt, and that's all Klaus right there. He thought that was like, he's supposed to be kind of like this sexy sexual predator type character, and he thought that was more fitting for the role. So like everything he does in this movie is 100% him for the most part. Very little actual direction on the things that he does, and he plays this creepy role so well. I haven't seen a lot of films with him, but the ones that I've seen, wow, I always thought, man, this guy plays this crazy, creepy role really, really good. But if you listen to the commentary and the features on here, people really believe that he was mentally insane. It wasn't an act. There was times where he got like physically violent with people that worked on this movie and everything like that. And if you watch, like I said, that special feature, that Kill Mr. Kinski, you'll see some like behind the scene footage of him like kind of going after like the crew and stuff, because they would try to tell him that he needed to reshoot a scene or something. He's not having that. I mean, that alone, to me, is worth owning this film. If you guys haven't picked up this version, I don't know if there's any other versions of this, to be honest. I don't see anything else out there. There might be an Arrow version or something. I really don't know. This is the reverse cover art, so if you guys do plan on picking this up, and if it is on Amazon, I will leave a link down in the comments if you guys want to use my affiliate link. You guys get your product. I get like 3 cents off the sale. Helps the channel. If not, all the same. But this is the art. Like I said, you will see. But I like this one. You have, Kinski's face, and you have the vent up here with the young lady reaching out for help. Yeah, it's an entertaining watch. Like I said, the only thing for me is more story would have been great. The guy that's trying to prove that he killed his brother, like, what exactly happened? How did he die? I want to know more. I feel like this is a movie that could definitely be remade and made into a much better film. Make it a 2-hour-long movie. Make it good investigations. Some more backdrop of, the Nazi war criminal side of things, and show some flashbacks of when Klaus was in, his prime, and he was like this renowned doctor, and when did he make his first kill? Like, show that. I think this would make an awesome reboot. It may have been redone. I just don't know. And there's other movies like this, that kind of voyeur aspect. And the rats that they use in this, another interesting fact, and this is why you listen to the commentaries, which I never used to do, but I'm so glad I do now, because you learn a lot of things. They were actually all white rats, and they painted them black, and they didn't want to like move. They were like scared little rats. They weren't aggressive at all, so they had to use the Wrangler guy to get the rats to move around and everything. And there's a scene where Rathead is going through like the vent, and Klaus actually picks up the rat and puts his head up there, and the director's like, I didn't think he would do it, but he did. And they give away, they use these little things. They're not actually crawling through the vents, and there's actually one that he uses in the movie, like this little motorized one, like these little carts, these little, kind of like those things you lay on, like when you're working on your car or something. I forget what the fuck they're called off the top of my head. But you learn so much listening to these commentaries, and it makes it so much more worth the purchase. I don't believe this one is very expensive unless it's out of print now, and I just don't know. But yeah, I think this is well worth the purchase for sure. If you guys like that voyeuristic type film, and that kind of unsettling feeling, it's not really scary per se. Like I said, I don't really consider this a horror film either. I think it's like a psychological drama, kind of like thriller type movie. But his performance alone in this and the features are well worth the purchase. And I had a good time with it. It goes by fast. It's only an hour, 20 minutes. You're not going to lose too much of your precious time in your life. It just would have been interesting to see the director's vision for this film had it been shot in these jungles and these bamboo jungles, these different environments all together. instead of this apartment building. And inside this apartment building too, the vents that they're crawling in, they look like they go on and on and on, but I guess it's just like a real little like circle area, and they just keep going back through the same ones and shit. But you know, they were making like 30 pictures a year or some shit back then, or something like that, which is insane. Like I said, they were like a Canon Filmz type production, and didn't spend a lot of money on them either. But yeah, pretty high recommend for me for this particular release. The film itself, if you're only interested in the film, I say stream it first, but this Stream Factory release with the commentary and the couple bonus features, definitely worth the purchase. Again, Crawlspace, 1986, Klaus Kinski. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this. I'm trying to keep my reviews pretty short for you guys, and there wasn't really a whole lot going on in this movie. Yeah, there's a scene where Klaus puts on some lipstick that's pretty fucking demented. And that was all him. It was in the script that he puts on lipstick, but the way he puts it on is something else. And, yeah, you can... I'm sure I probably showed clips of the movie or stills or whatever I decided to do during the edit of this. But, yeah, that's it for me, guys. So, again, I will take Scream Factory off the list, and you guys can vote for the next one. It was real close between Vinegar Syndrome and Arrow Video, so I have a feeling one of those two are going to be next. And I have a ton from both companies to watch. I know there's an empty spot on my Scream Factory shelf right now. I'm in the middle of organizing. This is all Scream Factory behind me, and up top is, you know, the Scream Factory doodads. So, yeah, but next to that is the Vinegar Syndrome shelf, and then there's a whole shelf of Arrow, which I have almost a whole shelf full of Arrow video titles. So those are the three biggest companies that I own. And, yeah. I guess that's gonna about do it, guys. What did this get on IMDb? What did they have to say about Crawlspace? Let's find out. So IMDb gives it a 5.4. If I was to rate films, I would probably be about right there with them. For the film itself, it's probably just like a 5 out of 10. Again, I don't really give ratings and everything, but like I said, I would stream the film first, and if you're only interested in picking it up for the film and not the features, then make your decision from there. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. So as always, peace, love, happiness, all of you, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.